There's a brand new parenting style that everybody seems to want to talk to me about. I've been interviewed in the UK, in the USA, and all over Australia about FAFO parenting. Now, Kylie and I are non-swearers, but the first F in FAFO parenting is one of those swear words that we don't say, and you probably don't want your kids saying. It's F around and find out. This is a new tough love kind of parenting style that is exactly the opposite of gentle parenting. And today I'm going to unpack why it's all the rage, where this has come from, and why every journalist in the country has been on the phone to me in the last month to talk about FAFO parenting. Stay with us. That's next. G'day, welcome to the Happy Families podcast, where you get real parenting solutions every single day. This is Australia's most downloaded parenting podcast. We are Justin and Kylie Coulson, the parents of 6 children, and we are going to talk about FAFO parenting today. Kylie, recently another reporter was in touch about FAFO parenting, wanting to know all the details. So I've just written down all the questions that I've been getting from reporters over the last few weeks about this parenting style that is sweeping the world by storm. I've handed them to you. You're going to be our reporter extraordinaire. You might even have some comments and stories to share. Let's go. Let's pick this apart and find out why this is all over social media and on all of the major news media sites.
Well, thank you for spending time with me today, Dr. Justin.
I love it when you do this.
I haven't really heard a lot about this FAFO parenting.
That's because you also deleted social media and you don't watch the news. But
Yeah,
yes, it's
kind of.
everywhere.
How would you describe it?
So this is the tough love parenting. It's kind of like the pendulum has swung. So, I don't know, a decade, maybe more ago, probably 2 decades ago, there was that whole tough love. The kids just have to do as they're told. I mean, this is a
Well, that was
throwback
last
to
generation.
Traditional parenting is another
Yeah.
generation. But things come in trends, right? Like moustaches. I'm going to offend half of the male population and probably a whole bunch of females
Well, let's
right
just
now.
talk about mullets then, if you're going to add
Mullets, moustaches, the same thing, right? In the 80s, everyone had them. They're stupid. I mean, why do you want to have this little bit of fuzz above your top lip and nothing else? I tried to grow one once upon a time and you just said get rid of it and you were right. Kylie, just like bad hairdos and bad facial hair, parenting also goes in trends. So over the last 10 to 15 years, we've become increasingly gentle. In fact, I would say that started in the 1990s when John Gottman wrote Raising an Emotionally Intelligent Child and started talking about the power that comes from validating our children's emotions. And what's happened since 1997, where now I can't do maths very well, but I'm thinking this is 30 years down the track. We have made emotions king. And when a child is having an emotion, we have to validate that emotion and we have to therapeutically analyze that emotion with the child. And frankly, we tell our children that they should believe what their emotions are telling them because emotions give us truth, which is unhealthy, unhelpful. It's a lie. Emotions are liars. They give us information, but that information is not always accurate. Nevertheless, as a result of the backlash to gentle parenting, I mean, if you watch Parental Guidance Season 1, 2, or 3, you would have seen a lot of really soft, gentle, cotton wooling and bubble wrapping of children in some of those parenting styles. And what that has basically done is it's made a lot of people really mad about the way kids these days are being raised. And so the backlash means that we've got to go from one extreme to the other. So one pole is gentle parenting and FAFO parenting. F around and find out is basically, if you really want to test me, and I'll show you where the boundary is. And I'm going to do it in a really unkind, nasty way.
Would you suggest that this is a direct result of parents just feeling really burned out and looking for permission to just let their kids do whatever they want?
Yeah.
Is that where we're going?
I mean, partly, yes. This might sound a little odd, but I think it's also a reflection of our times. It's a reflection of our broader socio-political climate. So we're seeing increasingly that people like Nigel Farage in the UK and Donald Trump in the US and strong men, and I'm using the word men on purpose because they generally are strong men, kind of political leaders are shifting the political discourse and hardening it and coarsening it and making people feel like, well, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there and we need to be top dog. And I think that kind of trickles down into things like business and our living rooms. So to me, this is a little bit political. It's a little bit sociocultural. And yeah, I think sometimes parents are just so sick of going, hang on, these little people who are knee high or waist high or chest high, they don't dictate terms. And I'm sick of being dictated to by an 11-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 3-year-old. I'm the adult in the relationship, and I'm just going to stamp my authority. It's really ineffective, by the way, but I kind of think there's a confluence of all of these factors.
So from what I understand, everything you've shared, FAFO parenting claims to allow children to experience the consequences of their own actions.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, are they really experiencing the consequences of their actions, or are they experiencing parents who are just sick of, who are going to impose consequences because they don't like what the kids are doing? I mean, it could be a bit of both.
So I kind of get the impression, and maybe I've got it completely wrong, but if we're going to just allow kids to do whatever they want, right, and then experience
the
consequences, then this is actually just neglectful, disengaged parenting.
In some ways, but there's a bit of acrimony, there's a bit of animosity, there's a bit of anger associated with it as well.
Well, are we creating the consequences for our children?
Well, it's both.
Or
it's both.
Are they experiencing it because...
So I'm going to start calling it MAFO parenting, because mess around and find out just is more consistent with our values, right? So MAFO parents will approach these challenges in a couple of ways. First off, there's you want to touch the hot stove? Well, mess around and find out. Oh, you want to play with a ball in the house? Well, mess around and find out, right? So there's just you're going to experience the consequences. You don't want to do your essay, you don't want to do your assignment, you don't want to do your homework, mess around and find out. You don't want to...
Okay, so my 7-year-old decides that they're going to play cricket in the house and they smash the front window.
Well, that's where it switches from you're going to experience the natural consequences of doing dumb things like saying horrible words to your friends or being rude to the teacher or mess around and find out. There's that. But then the second one is, if you mess around with my rules, you'll find out what the consequences will be. So there's that punitive approach as well. It's not just an abrogation of parental responsibility to socialize your kids and you're just going to say, you figure it out. Jump on the e-bike and ride down the street on the wrong side with 3 people on the back. Just mess around, find out. And then the police will pull you over. Well, your problem, your fault. Now you've learnt your lesson. Okay, so that's this is not my problem approach. But then there's also this is my problem approach, and you've messed around and now you're going to find out how I feel about it. So it actually goes in both directions.
Well, I'm just really curious about how we're going to move forward. Like, how do parents navigate this kind of trend? Because it's going to come up more and more, right? We're going to be experiencing it as our children socialize with other families. How do we safeguard our kids against it? How do we work through it? How do we come to our own conclusions?
Yeah, let's talk about that right after the break. Solutions for MAFO/FAFO parenting. We're back. This is the Happy Families podcast, where you get real parenting solutions every single day. Is this parenting style working? I mean, when you hear this, you've been married to me and heard me go through the books and the podcasts and the talks and all that sort of stuff for years. I'd love to get a non-expert perspective when you hear about this before I sort of step into what I would really like to say. What's your initial response to this style of parenting, this hard-nosed...
It just makes me angry. Like, it makes me really angry.
Yeah, go on.
I feel, and I said it earlier in my comments, I feel like this is just an abdication of parental responsibility, because I'm allowing my kids to make their own choices and they'll find out for themselves what's right or wrong without recognizing developmental appropriate stages of life, cognitive function and development. There's no safeguard. There's no security in that for our children.
It feels like there's a lack of warmth. It's just this really harsh concept. I mean, this could actually be done nicely and it could be healthy. And I've not had this thought at all until today. I've done too many interviews and not even said this once. But like, mess around and find out has an implicit threat in it, right? There's this idea that you can mess around and it's going to hurt you. Too bad, so sad. You should have listened to me, but you chose not to. There's that kind of, I don't know, there's almost like an arrogance.
But there's also lots of things that our children could participate in that don't necessarily hurt them in the moment.
Or other people.
Right. And
they can learn great lessons from them.
Well, no, they're not going to learn anything because there's no consequences in the moment.
Well, there's that too. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But if my child starts smoking a vape as a 7-year-old, I mean, that's what we're dealing with, right? You've got a parent who's saying, you can work it out. My child starts doing that. They don't recognize any significant impact in their decision in the moment.
Of course.
Right?
Yep.
But over 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 50 years of that behavior, that's when the consequences really hit. There's no security. There's no safeguard. It just feels like you're throwing them into the big wide world without any preparation. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, and again, sometimes this can work.
Uncaring.
Other times it doesn't. Like, I had a surf trip last year. I went to Sumatra, Indonesian island, and like if you've driven in Indonesia, it's an experience. But in the particular place that I went, I had to fly into the airport, and then it was a 6-hour drive. And this road, like there's just houses everywhere along this road. There's people all over the place. And as we drive along this road with no shoulder and no footpaths, because the infrastructure just doesn't exist in this part of Indonesia, probably most of Indo, there's kids right next to the road, right next to 1,000 million mopeds and motorcycles and cars and trucks. And I said to the driver, "Did you grow up here?" He said, "Yeah." I said, How did your parents teach you about road safety?" And he didn't say it in these words, but he basically gave me this FAFO, MAFO idea, mess around and find out. He said they didn't. They just let us figure it out. And kids, I mean, I guess some kids end up worse for wear as a result of that. But he said most kids just figure it out. They learn that it's not safe to be on the roads. Now, this does my head in. But there's no explicit teaching. There's no parental stepping in and actively teaching children to stay away from the road. I can't comprehend this.
No, but each of the times we've visited villages and things like that, families are very insular. They stick together. They're quite, I mean, especially in the heat of the day, which is when you're going to see traffic.
Or maybe. I mean, I was watching kids on the side. I'm talking 2-year-olds on the side of the road with no adults in sight. Like it was doing my head in. So I'm not arguing that we should do that, by the way, and not even slightly. But what I'm highlighting really is that children will learn life's lessons. Natural selection will select for genetics that orient us away from dangerous things, apparently. Although, again, this e-bike thing that's going bonkers everywhere we turn at the moment maybe argues against that.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, we had a conversation all about resilience, specifically in our children, and how it's relational. I just feel like, based on everything we're talking about today, where's the resilience for our children? Because it's the toughen up princess kind of, white knuckle it through life kind of conversation we're having here, because there's no one guiding them.
And I think that's the critical thing. If we were to bring it right back to basics, and we need to because we can't talk all day, children need security, they need predictability, they need clear rules and boundaries, they need parents who work with them rather than do things to them. And FAFO is fundamentally about, I'm going to do things to you, or I'm going to let life do things to you, depending on which way it goes, if you want to mess around, if you don't want to follow the rules. It's just this blasé, I've told you what's going to happen. You're going to do the wrong thing. You're going to stay on screens. Well, I'm just going to take your phone off you. We're going to cut it off. I'm emotionally distant and uninvolved. I don't know that that's a healthy way to be. Like I said, we've gone from one end of extremes to the other. The stuff we talk about consistently on the pod, build a relationship with your kids, work stuff out, recognize that when they're having big emotions, it's not usually about you. It's about them. Just be with them and say, I know this is hard. We'll figure it out once you're feeling okay. And then problem solve so that they understand that there are expectations and rules. Get them to make those rules as much as possible and then support them to live them. I don't know why we keep on complicating parenting and why the media loves these narratives because it gets eyeballs. That's my take. I don't know if that's helpful, but I wanted to talk about FAFO parenting, MAFO parenting, mess around and find out. Don't do it. Don't do it unless you're exhausted and you've had enough and you're having a bad day, but then apologise and don't do it again. That's kind of it.
Well, I really appreciate your time today, Dr. Justin.
I love that you've gone back to reporter mode. That's
I am going to assume that if we want to have strong, healthy relationships with our children that last well and truly once they leave our home and into their adulthood, that finding a way to develop a autonomy supportive relationship.
Explore, explain, empower. You got it.
we're going to experience a lot more joy and happiness in our families.
Yeah. FAFO breaks the connection. You said it before and you were bang on. Connection is the heart of relationships and the heart of what makes families tick. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Coulson from Bridge Media. Mim Hammonds provides our admin and other support. And if you'd like more info to make your family happier, particularly info about how to not do the FAFO-MAFO thing when it comes to raising an ADHD child, check out our Parenting ADHD course online now at happyfamilies.com.au.